So we are now recording, and I want to give a very big, warm welcome to Rabbi Druckmann, all the way from Switzerland. We're so appreciative that you're here to give us this class about the Jewish community in Switzerland. And I'm going to put the spotlight on you so that we can all see you. Thank you so much. And whenever you're ready, please take it away.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Jay. L'chaim, Chicago. L'chaim.
L'chaim.
We say L'chaim in coffee in Switzerland. It's a traditional custom. Pleasure being here with the permission, and again, I'm grateful for your decision to invite me to speak with you about Jewish life and the story of the Jewish life in Switzerland. We'll discover, I think, more specifically a little bit about Switzerland as a country, but I think more about the city of Lucerne, where I live. And believe it or not, when I started to prepare the material for the talk tonight, I've discovered something which is really amazing. I don't know if you're aware of it. I wasn't aware of it until a couple of hours ago. Lucerne, Switzerland, and Chicago, Illinois, in the United States are twin sisters, twin cities. So it really makes this very, very special. I also found out that thanks to Mr. Google, that there is a Swiss hotel in Chicago, one of their nice room and by the way, I want to say I am sorry about my English. It's not my first language, not even second language. So here and there, I will make some mistakes. And I'm so lucky that you all muted, so you can't even correct me. I will enjoy every moment. So back to the Swiss hotel in Chicago, one of their nicest room is actually, it's called Lucerne. Go check it out. I don't get any promotion for this advertisement, but it's just very special. There are actually in Lucerne itself, there are some, before we go into talk about Jewish life, there's some joint project of Lucerne and Chicago. This is it's not that long ago. It's like 25 or 30 years ago. I don't remember the exact year, but right not far from here, I actually took a picture just for you. Let me try to, and I wasn't so ready. I thought I'm ready. I tried to be ready. Right in the front of the city hall, which is, oh, here is it. Let me just, can I share the screen, Rabbi?
Yes, you're able to share the screen. Yep.
Okay. This photo I just took a couple of minutes, an hour ago. This is the, like 200 meters from where I'm sitting right now in my office at the shul. This is the city hall of Lucerne. This is Stadt Lucerne. And this is all the cities who are twin cities with, twin sister cities with Lucerne. And here is Chicago, USA since 1998. Yeah, just to begin with. Okay. So I don't do this a lot. I don't know how to give lectures. I like more to answer questions, and I know we're gonna have questions and answer a little bit later, but I think that the fact that we are meeting must be very meaningful, because everything that happens in our life, it's all from Hashem, it's all from God. And therefore, if I had the honor to get this personal request from Rabbi Jay, is it okay, Rabbi Jay? This is okay. It must be something over here, must be something meaningful. So I will do my best to use the next 30 minutes to make it meaningful for you and for me. And I will try to bring you to, I would say it's a reality that it's unknown to many people in the world, and especially the Jewish people. I will explain. Switzerland is a tiny country. It's a small country. I mean, it's maybe, I don't know exactly, but it's maybe 2.5 times size as Israel, which is probably smaller than Texas, right? I don't remember the map of the US, but it's a very, very small country. The population here is 8-9 million people. And the Swiss people has a lot of traditions that it keeps them to be really separated, not only from the rest of the world outside of Europe, but to be also very, very special and unique in Europe. Simple fact, which is very interesting. I mean, everyone knows the history that if you look at a map of the Second World War, it's unbelievable. All around Switzerland, it's literally a hell. And you look at Switzerland itself, it's like Garden of Eden, unbelievable. There's nothing really happened here to a degree that it's so scary to think about that people in the Jewish community in Switzerland were sitting in shuls and having bar mitzvahs and chasanas and everything just normal. I mean, not fully normal because of course everyone hears the news and they talk about it, but they're always reading about what's happening outside of Switzerland, but Switzerland itself stayed safe during the whole war. Also, you know, and talk about, before we go to talk about Jewish life, speak about political views of here, you know, Switzerland is middle of the Europe, what's called the EU, the European Union, but Switzerland is not part of the EU. Switzerland is an independent country that has also a very, very special system. I don't think, and I don't know there is of another place in the world that has also such a system. We have here, and actually I'm holding right now, I just received it today by post. These two envelopes, one is for me, one is for my wife. This is what we call over here, direct democracy. Anything, any law that the federal government, the state government, or even the city's government wants to pass, they must ask the question of all the people. And we need, I don't know the name in English to it, I think it's direct democracy. Everything is a question you have to answer by post. And that's also, of course, when it comes to election. And one of the famous things that over here, the Swiss people said no, that they did not want to join the EU. Actually, you know, now they're joking here that without becoming too political, and I don't have actually myself an opinion about it, but it's what took the British people 30 years, we already here realized 30 years ago, and we said no already then. So I just wanted to say this is really a special place over here, really unusual, and therefore when people come here, sometimes they have like a cultural shock because it's so not like the rest of the Western world in many aspects. And I remember I got married, my wedding was in Zurich, and was a rabbi at my Sheva Brachot that already then we started to talk about, I wanted very much to come and do community service and to do shlichus in my life. And because my wife grew up in Zurich, Switzerland was an option, and we were not sure yet. And then the rabbi spoke to me, and I remember he told me the following story. He said, you want to understand, he said to me, Chaim, you want to understand, Chaim, what Switzerland is. So let me tell you a story. I took once a flight from Zurich to New York, and a Swiss person was sitting next to me. It was very uncomfortable during the entire flight, very uncomfortable. It was like he couldn't see it, and it was like, and then we didn't exchange a word, we didn't speak, we didn't talk the whole flight, which is, by the way, very common, very unlike United States, that people usually warm and speak to each other. I think you call it in the United States small talk. Here, there is no such a thing with small talk. You don't talk over here. Either you have something to say, to do, to pay, otherwise no conversation. Anyways, nothing. Back to the rabbi and the plane. Finally, when they arrived, by the luggage, they started to talk somehow. And I said to him, what happened on the flight? Why were you so uncomfortable? He said, listen, my travel agent in Zurich promised me a window seat because otherwise I go mishugi. I need to look at the window, I get dizzy. And I didn't get my window seat. So the rabbi told him, why couldn't you just go and sit over there? He said, Rabbi, didn't you see? I really wanted very much, but it was nobody's there. Nobody was sitting there. So I couldn't ask anyone for permission to sit there. This is not a joke. This is what Swiss people are. And by the way, this is something that you can like, because everything over here, you know what to expect. Everything really goes, everything is exactly according to the plan. The Jewish people here are joking and saying that, you know what happened when an Israeli girl gets married to a Swiss boy? Then the chuppah, the wedding ceremony, begins exactly 1 hour later. So after saying all this, I didn't even talk about the weird laws we have over here. You know, when we live, many of us live in apartment buildings. We're not allowed to take showers after 10 p.m. Officially, by the law, it is forbidden because then it creates noise when the water is streaming. You will never, that's impossible to see a car standing and the motor of the car is on because it's simply noisy and it's not good for the environment. They're very, very strict about it, and you can really get a serious fine if you're standing even by a red light more than 20 seconds and you leave the motor on. Yeah, it's really strange, but it is what it is, and it took me very, very long. I'm here 18 years. In the beginning, it was very difficult for me because I wanted to go and do community work in the United States. This is where I was there. After my wedding, I finished to learn over there in yeshiva, and I really loved. I'm an Israeli, but I really loved the United States. You know, the whole culture, the openness, the size. I miss so much the 7-Eleven and the parking that you can come and park. Here we don't have all these things. Everything is closed here after 6 p.m. Sunday, everything is closed. It's a really different life. But what is really, really challenging over here, and that's why we're gathering tonight, is the quantity of Jewish population in Switzerland, and especially in the city where I live, Lucerne. You know, I grew up in Israel. My father is a rabbi, is a chief rabbi actually of a city, not a major city, but he has 60,000 Jews in his city. I grew up there in Kiryat Motzkin near Haifa, and then I moved to the United States, and I lived in a little bit in Detroit. I was a student in yeshiva there. Then I was in New York, and in New York, it's really not an issue to find the 10th man for a minyan. It's just a very normal thing. I came here just to get to know the place. When we got the offer to come here, it was very, very difficult. I have the honor today, I know, fast forward 18 years, that I'm the rabbi, one of the smallest Jewish communities in the world. We have in a very, very wide area. We don't even call it Lucerne. It's called Central Switzerland. In Central Switzerland, I mean, speaking in English, and in American English, that has like 6 states. That's a huge area. It's like driving, I would say, from, if you know Israel a little bit, from Netanya to Tel Aviv. It's like 60, 70 kilometer, more or less. And in all this area, we have maybe about 150 Jewish addresses. And they live all over the place. So it's really not a normal place. Again, I'm speaking about my community over here. The rest of Switzerland, you have official numbers is 23,000 Jews. We, the rabbis, believe there are probably much more than that. There's probably 35,000 Jews in Switzerland, that most of them, majority of them, are located in Zurich. Zurich, Switzerland, for us is like New York, like London. It's a major Jewish population, which is maybe 10,000 Jews. In the whole, this big Zurich city, At the moment, there is not even one kosher fleishik restaurant that you can eat kosher meat. This is takeaway. There is a restaurant that you can eat pizza, but these are the numbers over here. So let me tell you what brought me here. So I mentioned already before, my wife grew up in Zurich. How did my wife came to Zurich? Here comes a family link. My wife, as a baby, she was sent by the Rebbe from New York to open the first Chabad center in Switzerland. This was 1982. She came here as a baby. She was a few months old. She grew up in Switzerland. And at one point in a high school, she went back to New York because the Jewish education in Zurich those days, especially, was very, very small school. She went to New York, and then fast forward, she went to Israel to study in Israel. And then I went to New York, and then somehow she got to know my family. She was, my family in Israel were hosting girls from abroad. They come to study in Israel. She came to my family for Shabbos. My sister met her. She liked her very much, and she thought it's a good idea for me. And fast forward, I came to Israel just to meet her, and we met like a couple of times. After the third time we met, I asked her, will you be my wife? And she said, no, it's too quick. So I was waiting one more day, and then she said yes. And then after 1 week, we got engaged, and then we got married. We went to New York, and we wanted to stay in New York. But then my father-in-law, who was the Chabad rabbi in Zurich, who also do the entire work of Chabad in Switzerland, he looked after small communities. He said, listen, Chaim and Rivki, there is a place where they really need you. But warning, he said, it's very small. I don't even know if it's really right for you to come here, but maybe come and have a look. So we came here, and I looked and I said, no, I can't. I just can't. It was so small. And I don't know what happened. I really somehow, when I went to sleep, maybe I spoke to my rabbi, maybe, I don't know, Hashem gave me the inspiration. It was one of the only times in my life that I really said to myself, really, what is this all education about that you got? Are you going to think about what you're looking for instead of looking what are you needed for? And believe me, I'm not such a tzaddik. I really I normally don't work with this. I wish I would work every day with this way of thinking, but I don't know how. We said yes, and we came here, and it wasn't easy, and it's still not so easy because it's so small. But we have learned over the years. First of all, we ourselves, what should I say? We took care to help, the growing of the population of the Jewish community, because I have Kinai Nahora, 7 kids. So already the community really is much bigger than before. But the point is that it's so small that it took us years to understand what exactly type of work we have to do here in Lucerne. And it became so special, really so special, that when I go to visit now New York, or when I go to visit Israel, I feel weird. Why do I feel weird? Because it's like, you meet people, you meet Jewish people, and they don't even greet you. You don't even say Shalom Aleichem. Like you say to someone, Good Shabbos, excuse me, do I know you? I mean, over here, when you walk on Friday night from shul to home, or if on Friday you go shopping and accidentally you see a Jew, it happens once in 3 months on the street, we give a hug to each other. We even did it during Corona. And it's so when we meet together, and every Shabbos, if I talk about Shabbos, not every Shabbos we have a minyan. But every Shabbos, we have a davening. We sit together in the shul, we daven, we learn, we have cholent, we say l'chaim, and it's really, it's very, very active and very, very special. And I feel so comfortable over here, and I love it so much. Now, there is another element over here in Lucerne, but it's also correct to other cities in Switzerland, that we have Jewish tourists, but not so many in the cities, because when tourists are coming to Switzerland, where they stay, it's in the mountains, it's in the Alps. They don't stay in the city. But on the way to the Alps, they might stop over here sometimes for Shabbos. They're not that many. If we have more than one family on one Shabbos tourist, this is a big Shabbos for us. Sometimes during July, August, you can have even 3 families. This is really like a major Shabbos. But definitely every time when someone comes, it added so much, and people love it. People love it over here when other people coming. So first of all, before I forget, each and every one of you, at your next trip to Switzerland, first of all, you have to come to Lucerne because it's a twin sister of Chicago. Maybe you will get even some discount when you book a hotel over here. I don't know, give it a try. But you are invited to be our guest for Shabbos over here in Lucerne, Switzerland. Just keep in mind, Rabbi Jay has my contact information. You can ask him directly for my number. What else I can tell you? I can tell you that it's really amazing to see how much the Jewish people, when actually they live far away from major communities, their heart is not only staying awake, but actually kicking more than other place when they live poor. I have people over here who never went to shul. Or I would say, I don't say never, but for them to come to shul, it has to be something very strange, some event, I don't know what. But we create somehow a place that people come just because. And sometimes they tell me, oh my gosh, why am I coming here? I remember like today, I met a Jew over here, and the first meeting, we talked. And then he tells me, you know, Chaim, I have to be honest with you. You look, so it sounds very extreme, but I'm just reporting, a story what happened. He said, you look like Al-Qaeda, but you are not. So I wasn't sure if it's a compliment or he's criticizing me, but he's one of my best friends today. He's someone that before he never found himself in a shul just because of the size. He said, you walk into a shul, someone once told me over here, he walked into a shul on Shabbos morning and he hears the rabbi, I don't know where some major city he came from, in the United States or from Australia. He said, the rabbi is asking the gabbai, the person who's in charge of the shul, what's the name of the family of the bar mitzvah boy today? He didn't know. There's a teacher who's teaching the bar mitzvah boy. He doesn't know. He's just come and he needs to know for the speech. Over here, it's impossible. I am the bar mitzvah teacher. I'm the rabbi. I'm the chazan. I'm the shamash. I'm the one also who makes the cholent. After my wife cooks the cholent, I come and mix it. So it's something very, very special. The relationship with the people around us. A lot of Swiss people, unlike the Americans, they don't know Jewish people. They have no idea. Not all of them, but many of them. There are Swiss people who think that all Jewish people, not only they understand Hebrew, but the only language that they communicate with each other, it's Hebrew. So if they, for example, if they're going to hear me speak now to you in English, they say, oh, you probably speak to a group of non-Jewish people, because otherwise, why do you speak English? And then they're like, they look at you. It's how should I say, like, We don't have to watch National Geographic. We have it right here, walking here in the street. Africa came here. Now, it doesn't mean, they're not anti-Semites. No, they are not. But they're just not used to, because they're a very, very close society. They're very, not used to see something outside, so people from outside. I want to tell you that when we came here, we were very, very much afraid, because the Jews we met, they told us, keep a very low profile. So like many, many Chabad houses in the world, one of our burning desire is to put on a beautiful public menorah at the main square in the city center. All the Jews told us, don't. But we're a little bit crazy, so we have to do it anyways. And I remember the person who helped me said, I'm so crazy, so okay, I give you my okay, I'll help you to speak to the police, but do me a favor, just, we're gonna do it quick, no music, not too much, no sound system, just do it and you go home. I said, okay. We go to the meeting with the local police, to get the permit. And I remember, like today, the officer actually spoke very, very good English. Those days I didn't speak German, so I communicate in English. I remember him first of all, the non-Jew was so excited. He was really excited about what we're doing. And then he looks at the permit and he said, Rabbi, you forgot something. I said, what did I forget? He said, you forgot to ask a permit for klezmer. Forgot to ask a permit for Jewish music. And I looked at the guy who brought me there. He looks at me. And it was like, we both said, yes, we forgot indeed. Thank you for reminding us. And since then, every year, it became a tradition. For almost 18 years, we do it. And I can tell you that we always invite somebody, like the tradition in many, many cities, somebody from the local authorities to come and represent the city and greet the Jewish community. They are waiting with all the VIPs over here. They're like, can't wait when they will be invited to join this special ceremony. I don't know what else can I tell you. Maybe we should go to questions and answers.
It's very interesting, Rabbi Druckman. I have a few questions, and then we can also have questions from the audience. When I was using Google to look up the Switzerland Jewish community, it came to my attention that there's a whole parsha with regard to shchita, with regard to slaughtering. Is it now legal or is it illegal in Switzerland?
You see, it's interesting. It's really an issue, but it's a non-issue because we are so used to that I totally forgot about it. But you are right, and thank you for bringing this to my attention. Slaughtering, it's illegal in Switzerland. Not chickens, but boko. How do you say?
Cattle.
Yeah.
Cattle.
Thank you. Well, there is a major debate within the Jewish community how to respond to this. And the debate is whether the Swiss put this prohibition because of anti-Semites or just because they really care about animals. And so first of all, I came into the picture after it was done, and the debate is really not even an issue anymore. Nobody talks about it. But it is forbidden. So the way it works, I was speaking before about mixing the cholent, and between the potatoes, there are some pieces of good meat. And this basically everything comes from France, which basically creates a very, the prices, anyhow in Switzerland, everything is expensive. Kosher food in Switzerland, it's very, very, I don't know if it's in English, it really costs a lot to be a Jew in Switzerland. it's not only the meat, it's also the private schools that we have to send the kids. It's everything, we really very much dependent on ordering, if you talk about sidurim, prayer books, about everything is from outside. Switzerland is just too small. So yeah, this is my response about shechita.
So they don't mind if you import it. It's just that you can't slaughter.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're not so strict by telling others what to do, but it's that in our territory, we don't want it.
So you mentioned about the tuition, about the schools. Do your children go to school is there a school for them in Zurich, or do they have to go outside of Switzerland?
Good question. This is another thing that I got used to that also, but it's very normal for me. But I do think that in the United States it's also common. I drive my kids every morning, like 60 kilometers. I don't know how much is that in miles. 60 kilometers, which is like altogether with the drive, it's like about an hour on the road each way. We drive from Lucerne to Zurich because in Lucerne, we don't have enough Jewish kids to have a local Jewish school. We, of course, have afternoon programs and Sunday school, but literally there's not enough kids to have a local school. So they go to Zurich every day.
One other question that I had, and then we'll see if the audience has any questions. So with regard to when we've had other rabbis from Europe, we've come across something interesting, which is that in Europe, the government likes to give recognition to an official Jewish community. They have an official Jewish community with the head of the community, and it's all officially recognized, which you don't have really in America. Do you have that in Switzerland?
First of all, the answer is yes, absolutely yes. It's not so much, I don't know if it's so much from the government. It really depends on the country. I can tell you about Switzerland. The concept of a Jewish community, or to call it in German, the Jüdische Gemeinde, it's very, very, very fundamental in the mind of an average Jewish Swiss person. Where are you a member? When you're a member, you have to pay membership. By the way, I don't know how's it in the United States. In Switzerland, by default, a person that doesn't identify himself as non-Christian, he will pay tax every year to the church. If you want to stop to pay this tax, you have to identify yourself as non-Christian. So first of all, to be a Jew, you literally save money. So that's a good thing. But the community has members, and members has to pay according to their income. According to their income. Some communities are very strict. They would ask to see your tax papers. Some will say, no, we can estimate. But it's very important. And also, which is really the most important thing, is about talking about Jewish burial. If you're not a member and the day comes and you need a Jewish burial, it could cost you depends where, but it could be between $50,000 to $100,000 to be buried in a Jewish cemetery in Switzerland, unless you're a member and you paid all your life membership. So it's very important. Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Very different to the way things operate in the United States, or really anywhere around the world except for Europe, I think. I'm from Australia originally, and it's more like the United States, where you might be a member of a shul, but there isn't such a thing as a community of a city, right? It's a shul rather than a city.
Rabbi, you're from Australia?
I am from Melbourne, Australia.
Do you know, they're going to come personal over here. Have you ever been in Belarus?
Yes.
I think we were there together.
Oh, it could be. It could be. You're right. It was in Tishrei of Tafshin Nun
Ches something. Yeah, of course, with your friend Yerachmiel Gorelik, right?
Very good. Wow. Small world. We'll have to talk afterwards.
I was like, it was very, very familiar face. I'm like, I wasn't sure. Okay.
All right, let's have questions from the audience. If you're on the Zoom, you can just unmute yourself. If you're on the phone, you can press star and then 6 to unmute yourself, and just go ahead and jump in with your question.
You couldn't ask a question. You couldn't.
I have a question.
Okay.
I'm sure that the average Swiss person has a pretty good knowledge of 2 of the 3 major languages, the 3 regions, Italian, French, and German. Does the position you have necessitate that you learn or know all 3 languages in order to communicate to other parts of Switzerland?
Very good question. What is your name, please?
What's your name?
Moskowitz,
Right here.
Mr.
Right,
Moskowitz.
from Chicago.
Mr. Moskowitz, yeah, a very, very good question. Well, the short answer is no, you don't really need. It's really, really strict over here in every, we have actually 4 languages in Switzerland, but you are right, there are 3 which are common. The 4th one is called Romansh. It's very, very uncommon. It's a tiny, tiny percentage of Swiss people who speak this language. But we have in the Italian part of Switzerland, which is quite small. Then a little bit bigger is the French part. And then the majority, I think about 60% speaks German. You only need to speak the local language to a degree that it's probably English will help you more than French if you are in a German speaking area. And if you're in Italian area, English will help you more than German. It's really fascinating to see how they live together, speak different languages, and it's just like in a second, you pass on the highway to the next exit and everything is a completely different language. You stop in a gas station and you try to speak to them in German, they're gonna look at you like, excuse me? Is Italian not good enough for you? Or French is not good enough for you? And the Swiss and the Germans feels we are the real Swiss. The Italians feels we are the real Swiss. And the Frenchies feels we are the real Swiss. And because I'm in the German part, I'm telling you, we are the real one.
Thank you.
Rabbi, I'd like to ask you a question. It's obvious that you like Switzerland very much. I would like to ask you how they were during the Second World War. I know it was a neutral country, they say, but how were they really? And did they allow the Nazis privilege?
First, what's your name? The name under you is Chicago Mitzvah Campaign. Do you have a first name?
Yes, Burton Penn, Burton.
Burton. Okay.
Baruch.
Baruch. Oh, now you're talking. So Baruch, I'll tell you like this. There are many things happened those days. Well, I'm not an historian, so I don't know. I can tell you just from the Jewish point of view, the Jews in Switzerland were very, very, even though they did continue actively Jewish life during the war, but they were afraid that they're going to be the next.
Right.
I mean, it was clear. Now, they were trying. I'll give you an example of a real story that we know the family. There's a little my English, like in the border of Germany and Switzerland near Basel, there is like it's like inside Switzerland, No, it's like Switzerland goes inside Germany, like it's a little like a circle, very narrow circle. And there's a farm, and it was very known, at least for a while, in this area, German Jews were trying to escape. And was a German Jewish person, a single man, who came into this place, and a Swiss lady actually opened the house for him. She brought him, he described, she brought him milk, and she was really helpful to him. And after he went to sleep, she called the police to tell them there's someone over here that is not supposed to be here. Luckily, he found out and he left. Now, it's very hard to understand the logic. This lady was just following the instruction. It's not necessary that it came out of hate. Maybe, but it's not a must. They were very, very, very strange. I don't know if you know, there is a very famous philanthropist by name, he passed away just not long ago, Sammy Rohr, who gives a lot of tzedakah and charity to Jewish institutions all over the world. And he was in Colombia many years, and then he was in New York and Florida. I don't know exactly. His family are continuing the same. They have a very big foundation, the Rohr Foundation. They have a policy that, how do I know this policy? Because I once requested to get help. They don't give money to what they call normal places. What is a normal place? It's a normal town, Lucerne. There's no need money to come from Florida to Switzerland. They only give to Jewish Chabad and campus, Jewish centers and campus, and in Eastern Europe. But there's one exception, very big exception. In Basel, Switzerland, there's a beautiful Jewish center that was donated by Mr. Rohr. Why? Because he was a refugee after the war, and the Jewish community in Basel had adopted him and raised him and really looked after him. He came into Switzerland in a garbage truck, literally. This was there's always weird things how people came into Switzerland. Many of them were lucky, but many of them were sent back to the Germans. So it's a very big debate in Switzerland within the Jewish community. What was the Swiss how did the Swiss people behave? Meaning they did it out of fear, they did it out of hate. Of course, the Swiss are trying to go more to emphasize the fear. I think the answer is both. With some people in the government who did it out of fear, other because of hate. But the question will remain a question.
So they weren't too good to the Jews during the Second World War.
To the Jews in Switzerland, they were good.
They were all right. Right.
Yeah, but we're talking about the question of letting inside the Jews, refugees from Germany. It's really crazy to think about it. It's like when I look at the old schools in Switzerland, that they were really functioning during the war the whole time.
They were.
And it's so Basel is, Basel is by the border. People in Basel wake up in the morning, they go to buy milk in Germany because it's cheaper than Switzerland. You don't have to show a passport, nothing. It's called, they have the Schengen agreement. We just passed by. It stopped it the first time now during Corona. Baruch Hashem, thank God now many things are back to normal. But it's the reality of here.
So the Swiss did not export Jews to Germany during the war.
Not Swiss Jews, for sure. They did not export Swiss Jews. They did sometimes return Jews who escaped to Switzerland. They did do, definitely, yes. But as I said, how many were this massive? And humbly, I'll tell you, I really don't know enough. I'm just, makes me, I really afraid of the topic, but that's for my therapist,
No, because it's obvious you love Switzerland. And
I'm in love with Switzerland. it's really, I want to tell you something. It's when I came to Switzerland, my father came to visit me. He was really going crazy. So he said to me that somebody once told him that was a Jewish person who was God-fearing. He was coming every year summer to the mountains in Switzerland. And they told him, why you're so, it's really like you observed every year. He said, you know why? So when I go to heaven, I will get a few questions from Hashem. Did you do tefillin? Did you do this? Did you give charity? And I believe it's going to be a question over here from God. Yankel, did you see my Switzerland?
Well, I have one follow-up question related. Approximately how many Jews were in Switzerland during the Second World War that were
I don't know the
Swiss?
answer. I don't know the answer. Sorry.
Are there any other questions from the audience?
You said that Lucerne doesn't have a lot of Jews. They don't know from Jews, but is Geneva or Zurich have more of a Jewish community?
I just hear you. I don't see you, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear
It's
you.
okay. It's okay. Good. You hear me. What's your name?
Debbie Kahn.
Debbie. Okay. I saw your name somewhere here before. So I'll tell you. In Zurich, let's talk about numbers. In Zurich, you have like approximately 12,000 Jews. In Basel, you have probably 4,000. In Geneva is similar number to Basel. These are the major communities. Then you have small communities in Lausanne, maybe 2,000 Jews or less. In Bern, there's another 1,500 Jews. And all the rest are very, very small, tiny communities, which sometimes go so small to like in Lucerne, which is very, very, very few.
Okay. Thanks. Thank you.
You're welcome. I will just I do want to as I speak, I just remember something which is, I think is a tremendous lesson. At least it was a lesson for me, and perhaps you could use it as well. You know, a lot of time we have an imagination, you know, we are thinking different things, but it's only over here. In reality is a different story, but we don't know. When we came to Lucerne, it was very difficult to find a place to live, extremely difficult. Then the reason is because, you know, I was not Swiss, my wife is not Swiss, we didn't really have a job, and no one was willing to give us a place. Even if you want to pay, it's very difficult over here. If you don't have a job, if you're not, they need they need to know that you have a job and you will be able to pay the rent. Finally, Baruch Hashem, through connections and miracles, we found a place. But we were, you know, we had neighbors, we just said hi, guten Morgen, good morning, but nothing major. Every Friday night in the Shabbos meal, we're sitting and after Kiddush, eating the gefilte fish, and then starting to sing Shabbos songs with the guest. We always ask, let's not do it too loud. Let's not too loud. We live in a building. I remember it was like before Sukkah, soon I need to ask for permission to build a Sukkah. I was it was going for there like almost 4 years. Every Shabbos, and a lot of people, especially when tourists came, you know, they used to, I come to Chabad house, come on, l'chaim, vodka, dancing. We didn't have vodka and l'chaim, but I asked, you know. Then we moved, Baruch Hashem, we started to get to know people, and I moved to a Jewish building. What makes the building Jewish? The building never had a bris, but the owner of the building had a bris. So it's a different feeling. In this apartment where we live now was always a Jewish apartment, so we're comfortable. A few weeks after we moved to the new place, we received a letter in the post box, and I opened the letter. I remember like now it was a pink envelope, and I see a name and the address from our old place. I said, uh-oh, probably an invoice, probably, I don't know, who knows what we did. We opened the letter. It's a beautiful card from the neighbor that she she saw we are moving. She found our new address on the book, on the phone book, and she's wishing us good luck and everything, which is very, very surprising because we didn't really have a warm contact. She signed her name. Then she writes PS. She writes like this: I will miss very, very much the Friday nights evening when you were singing the Jewish songs. Akol Barosh, the music permission from the policeman. She is missing the Shabbat songs from our Jewish apartment. There's a lot of good things around us. We just need to open the eyes, to walk, do a mitzvah, and bring more light to the world. And the light will come back to us, and we'll be able to shine even more. Thank you so much for hosting me and for listening to me and letting me to share with you the Jewish life story over here. Please remember the invitation to come visit, not only as a Jew, but as a citizen of Chicago or near Chicago. I don't know exactly where you are. Regardless, you're most welcome to come visit here. L'chaim.
L'chaim, Rabbi Druckman, thank you so very much. We really appreciate it, and we enjoyed the class very, very much, and we learned a lot from it. So thank you again. Wish you a lot of bracha and atzlacha in your shlichut, and only good health. We should meet, God willing, in Eretz Yisrael with the coming of Mashiach immediately.
Amen. 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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rabbi J, you just reminded me of a Torah thought, which will be very quick, but because you said we'll meet in Israel, and as a continuation to my invitation, I want to tell you something. The Midrash, the Torah says that something very fascinating, that when Moshiach is going to come, the demographic, situation will change with the permission or without the permission of the UN, which means the Temple Mount will spread all over Yerushalayim. So the whole Jerusalem will be the Holy Temple. The whole Yerushalayim, the whole Jerusalem, as we know today, will spread out all over Israel. And the whole Israel will spread all over the world, all over the world. I told it to somebody once. He told me, if this is the case, when Moshiach comes, I choose to live in Switzerland. And I'm still going to be in the Holy Land. My friends, have a good night. I love you and thank you so much for hosting me.
Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Later on. Bye-bye.
Very nice.